Deftones, The Chauffeur, cover of the Duran Duran classic. Have the guitar tabs and guitar lesson. I'll play through all the different parts right at the beginning. After that, I'll go back through, give the full explanation for it. Please hit that subscribe button. It's the best way to let me know that you like this video and want to see more Deftones stuff. And now, let's give it a try. Okay, so just a standard tuning on this one, EAD, GBE, and playing around with a lot of octaves really. Certain parts, two guitars kind of over the top of each other, but for the most part here with this intro and initial verse, just boogieing around with some octaves. We start here at the E octave, the 7A with the 9 on the G, and it's just kind of a loose strumming, just kind of, quarter notes, maybe a little shuffle in there, nothing too, crazy. So we just start right at that spot, the 7 with the 9 on the A and G, and that's pretty much the bulk of like all the octave stuff we're doing here is just messing with the A and G string. And we just strum that out, a few times. All right, hit it, slide it up to the 9 and 11, hang out there for a couple strums. All right, keep it going up to the 10 and 12 for a few strums there. Alright, and then just kind of work our way back down now, and we'll land at the 6 and 8 and hang out there to finish it. Chorus section, a lot of those same octaves, just kind of a different order here. We'll start at the 10 and 12, alright, and we'll just hang out there for a handful of strums. Alright, slide it down to the 9-11 for a few. Alright, then we'll go down to the 7 and 9. And then just come right back up to the 9 and 11 to finish it. Alright, and we'll cruise through that 3 times, and then most of it on the 4th time all the way up to that 7 and 9. But instead of finishing at the 9 and 11, after we do that last run through and hit the 7 and 9s, we'll take it way high now, and we'll be 14 and 16. And with that, we just strum it just like that, quarter note style, and do it about 4 measures worth. All right, that's kind of the chorus end, and at the end of that first chorus and intro, after we do that spot, we just go right into the next section. All right, now this bridge section, this is pretty much what happens after the following choruses, like the second and third chorus there after that initial one. So we're coming off of our high 14 and 16. All right, and so after that, then we just bump it up a fret. All right, so now we're at the 15, 17, and with this one, we do about a couple measures, that same quarter note style. All right, drop it down now to the 13 and 15 for a couple of measures. And then we'll just bring it right back to that 14 and 16 for 4 measures there. Once the kind of second verse gets going and that little, interlude before it, which is basically the verse pattern, just no vocals, we essentially do, our main verse section that we did in the intro, but now we can add a little extra little something to it if we want, which basically we're doing the same exact thing, but we're just kind of adding these little notes in there on that, second to last beat or so. And so basically we would be, like at our 7 and 9. All right, and then we would drop down, and as we're hitting this, just kind of bar like the high E. All right, and then just attack that 7 on the high E, and then come back to the 7 and 9 strum. All right, so we're just throwing these little notes, these little accent notes in towards the end of each little spot. All right, so that's the first one. We would strum our 7 and 9, and then want to hit the 7 on the high E. All right, and then when we bump it up to our 9 and 11, with this one, we'll strum this out, a couple strums, and then we want to hit the 10 on the high E, so just, maybe like the middle finger right there. All right, and then we bump up to our 10 and 12, and we want to hit that 10 on the high E again, so it's kind of like the same deal we did down at the 7 and 9, where, we'll strum our 10 and 12, and then just bar that 10, with the middle of our pointer finger here to hit that 10 on the high E. All right, and then of course we'll drop down to our 6 and 8, and with this one we want to hit the 7 on the high E, so it's kind of that same deal we did at the 9 and 11, where we hit the 6 and 8 a couple strums, and then drop down with the middle finger, hit that 7 on the high E, come back to the 6 and 8 strum. All right, so we're mixing in all right, so we're just mixing that little melody in the midst of all of our stuff. And once we get to the outro, now we can kick on some overdrive and get into some like power chord stuff. 2 different guitars, doing their own separate thing here. The first guitar is just strumming away power chords, and it's just coming off to like a big open E power chord for a few. Okay, and then we go to the 2 and 4s for the F sharp, a few strums here. All right, slide it up a fret. Now we're at the G at the 3 and 5s for a few. And then just drop down to the B at the 2A, 4 on the D and G, a few strums here. And just loop those chords throughout the outro. And as far as the second guitar for the outro, it's just doing a lot of what we've seen, but it's starting at kind of an interesting spot and finishing at a different spot. So a lot of the same stuff that we're doing. We're just starting at our 7 and 9 octave on the A and G here. Kicks it up to the 9 and 11. All right, the 10 and 12. All right, and this time we just finish at, right back at the 9 and 11. All right, and just loop it from there.